get your Rhino file set up with site map data from OpenStreetMap, the website, and get that to scale in a Rhino file, and how you can set up all your 50 by 90 centimeter sheets within your Rhino file for the assignment. So the first thing you want to do here is go to the OpenStreetMap website, and then upon going to the website, you want to search your site location. My site location is this triangular shaped parcel that's in between these two industrial buildings and neighboring this rail yard, so it'll be observing the movements of this industrial occupancy locomotive artery site. So what we'll be doing in OpenStreetMap is going to the export tab or ribbon and defining our own area. So I'm going to manually select a different area. My site is right about here, so I want to select just a bit more outside of my site so that I know that when I create my 1:1000 site plan, it's going to be captured within this frame. So if I know it's about here and my 50 centimeter by 90 centimeter sheet of paper is about this ratio, I should be able to fit everything that I need within this crop region. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to go over here to the share. I'm going to select the format to be a PDF, and then I'm going to set custom dimensions. So after you've checked that, you just need to drag these to the same spots that you had your originally defined area. So once I'm happy with that, you just want to leave the scale alone and click download. So this is going to download a PDF file of the OSM map region, and then I'm going to just simply drag this into my Rhino space. So once we're in Rhino, you just want to make sure that you do a file new. I'm just going to save this. And then we're going to do large objects and in meters. So large objects, we're dealing with very big sites at the 1:1000 scale, and we're dealing with meters because most site plans are going to be dealing with this unit. It's large areas again. So make sure that you have those two set up. And then what the large objects is going to do is it's going to make sure that this kind of grid in Rhino is going to be able to cover your entire site area. And the meters is just a more convenient unit to be working with on site plans. So I'll select that. I've already opened a file that's in meters, so this is that. So we're going to go to our downloads. I'm going to drag my map here. I'm going to import the file, and then we want to make sure that we import as boundary curves, so like not hatches. Otherwise, we won't really be able to see so well. And then I'm going to do preserve units here. I'm going to do 1 to 10. So 1 to 10 just will scale it in a way that I can at least just see what I've imported into my Rhino space. So we've got this. Comes in a bit messy. What you might want to do is I've just created this layer that I've imported all of this in. So put this on a separate layer. You'll see there's all this text. For the assignment, we don't really need to have much text. And it's obviously quite distracting here. So you can do a command SELTEXT, text, right? Cell text. It's going to select all your text, hit delete, done. Okay, so now we got to find our site area. So I'm just going to select kind of blindly into this area. And I can see that I'm selecting something. I'm going to use the ZS command to zoom selected. And then now we've got this in frame. So I can see the area that I've imported, which is that Alyth, Bonnybrook industrial site. And I've got a little bit of like lines that are all over the place here. So this is like the Bow River and such. So what I could do here is just kind of make a bit of a box around my site. Maybe I'll go from like here to something like this. And then make sure you just save before you do like a operation like this. And I'm going to do a trim command. I'm just going to get rid of a lot of these lines that I don't actually need. And then you'll notice sometimes it takes like a minute for Rhino to kind of like process this. The same here. We're just going to kind of clean it up. Okay, so once you've cleaned up the edges of your map, you've got this nice cropped area to work with. Um, so the next step here is we're going to want to scale this map to the actual size of the map in real life. So what I'm going to do here is I've got this really long building, and I'm going to scale the end to end of this building to match what I'm getting in Google Maps. You could also scale something like length of a road, or any other kind of like area that you could measure. So like maybe like the length of the railway yard. Um, so I'm going to go into Google Earth here, and then what I can do is take a measurement from this point. I can zoom in here all the way to this point. This is the end of the building. I get about 280 meters from end to end here. So what I can do in my Rhino file is drop a point, and I'll create a separate layer here. Points. I can drop a point here, and I can drop a point there. I'm going to select everything. Here you can see I still have a little bit of the outline of Calgary. I'm going to do a scale 2D command, and I'm going to go from this point to the end of the building, this perpendicular if you have OSNAP on, or to your next point. And I'm going to type 280 meters, which is what I got from Google Earth. So once I have that, my map should be to scale, and I can put that at the origin 0, 0, 0. And then just going to make sure that our units are in meters. Okay. So Um, Next thing that we can do here is we can set up our sheets. So what you can do is create a new layer. I'm going to make this red, and I'm going to draw a box that represents the sheets that we'll be printing on for the 1 to 1000 or using for the digital submissions for this assignment. So that's a 50 centimeter, so 50 centimeter by 90 centimeter rectangle. You can select this right here, the rectangle command. So this is what that sheet is to scale with like our map of Calgary. And what we can do here is, because we have a 1 to 100 sheet, a 1 to 500, and a 1 to 1000, is instead of scaling our map, we could scale our sheet of paper here. So I'm going to scale this by 100, and I'm going to hold shift, and I've clicked on this little box here in order to do this. So again, so you click on it, click on the box, type in 100, hold shift, enter, oops, hold shift as you're clicking the box. There you go. So this is going to be my immediate site context. So my site is this triangular area right here. So from there to there to there. And then this box is going to define my site area. There. And then after that, what we can do is create a duplicate of this box. I'm going to times it by 5 because it's the 1 to 500, so it's 5 times bigger. This is going to be the second site plan there, so my expanded site context. And then the next one, I'm going to duplicate this again, is going to be 2 times that size, my 1 to 1000. So you can see I have way more area than I need. But it's nice to have kind of like the context area around your site. But yeah, you could definitely export a smaller size around your site in OpenStreetMap. So I've kind of created these on the side here, so I can see all of those, and then they're all labeled. So what I might want to do is use these ones to figure out where I want everything on my site. So for my 1 to 1000, I might want a portrait view, because I think that will look interesting. For a 1 to 500, might want to go with a landscape view so I can get a bit of the rail yard and this kind of industrial use area. And then for my 1 to 100, depending on how I lay out my building here, I'm going to want that inside my triangle. And depending on the massing, I'll have it as a landscape or portrait. Well, we'll go with the landscape for now. So this gives you all your different site areas. What we can do, similar to how we did the trim command before, is we could take all of this, we can duplicate it, Command C, Command V. I can delete these two. And then I'm gonna crop all the area around my site. So select all this. I'm going to lock my the sheet that I drew, so I'm not going to select it. So we're going to group that together, and then I'm going to unlock these ones. So I can click all of this map that I've imported from OSM. I could do a split command, and then I could use this frame as a cutting object. Select enter again, and then now let's cut everything. I'm going to ungroup that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everywhere around my site, but not inside the box, so just outside the box. And you'll see we'll get a nice cropped area of our site that we can use for the assignment. There we go. So that's our 1 to 1,000. Other things that we can do is once we've cropped out like an area like this, you might want to do like some hatching for your figure ground. So let's say I want to do all my building hatches. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to use the curve Boolean command. So curve Boolean, one word. And then I'm going to select all my little buildings here. If there's two next to each other, you'll have to do it twice. Otherwise, it'll just join them into one thing. You might get some text here that gives you a problem, so you could delete the text. So basically just selecting all of my buildings, slowly building them up. And then I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to group them. So control G, and then I'm going to do the hatch command. And then I can select all of them at once here like this. Do OK. And then now I've got all of the hatches for the figure ground part of this assignment. Once we've got our hatches for our buildings, like as in the figures in the figure ground diagram, we can go in and do the hatching for things like the roads and the trees. So in this case, my context here is next to like a rail yard. So I'm going to create like a curve Boolean, make a new layer for roads. I'll treat the rail yard as a road. And I just want to select inside the inner portion of the road, and then it'll kind of create this curved boundary around it. And then if there's a line separating the two, you just have to hit both sides of the line, and then it'll create a full closed area that we can use to hatch. So once I've got that, and then my roads. So here you might find there's some things preventing you from getting the entire road, so you just want to click through all of those. Slowly build out this shape using the curve Boolean. As so. So once I'm happy with that, with my railroad, rail yard, and my road, there's a couple more here. I can go ahead and press enter, And then I've got all of these closed curves. I can hit group or Control G, and then I can do a hatch command. And then it's going to hatch all of the curves that I have here. And then I'm going to hit OK. So a solid here. And I've set this to a bit of a light gray, which I think is going to come out nicely. I could do the same thing for something like the trees. So make another layer for trees. Select everywhere where I kind of see a tree here. Little circles. And then I'm going to go in, my curve boolean tool, find all of them. Like so. Maybe for this example, I'll make this kind of like a darker gray. So there's like a bit of contrast. It's not quite a building, not quite a road. So right now they're all green. You can go in here, this little color swatch, change it to whatever color you like. For this example, we'll just do a gray. So now we've got our roads hatched, our buildings hatched, and then our kind of ground element is the white part, right? That's unhatched, but you could also hatch it white, but it will come out as so like this, so it might be unnecessary. So that covers how we can crop an area out of our large map from OSM and hatch all of our different elements inside that we can extract out of OSM.